January 10th, 2019. San Antonio, Texas. Inside the exclusive gated community of Anaqua Springs, luxury homes sit behind guarded entrances, security patrols, and surveillance cameras. Residents choose this neighborhood because it promises privacy and safety. Just after 9 a.m., emergency dispatch receives a frantic 911 call. The homeowner reports that his girlfriend has shot her two daughters before taking her own life. Police officers rush to the mansion. Outside, they find the homeowner, Charlie Wheeler, waiting on the front lawn. He appears shaken as officers move past him and enter the house. On the second floor, investigators make a heartbreaking discovery. 37-year-old Nichol Olsen, her 16-year-old daughter Alexa, and her 10-year-old daughter London are all found dead from gunshot wounds. A handgun lies beside Nichol's body. The firearm, however, is legally registered to Charlie Wheeler. As detectives begin processing the scene, another detail catches their attention. Nichol's cell phone suddenly lights up with a message from a coworker at the salon where she worked. "Your client is already here." The message raises immediate questions. Only hours earlier, Nichol had apparently been preparing for another normal workday. She had confirmed appointments, discussed future plans with coworkers, and was expecting to continue her routine. Investigators now face a difficult task, determining whether the evidence supports the initial explanation or points in another direction. To understand how this tragedy unfolded, it is necessary to look back at the lives of the people who lived inside that house. Nichol Olsen's life had been filled with hardship long before she met Charlie Wheeler. Born in 1981, she experienced devastating loss at an early age. Her father died when she was still a child, and years later she lost her mother as well. Those experiences forced her to become independent much earlier than most people. She became a mother as a teenager and spent years balancing family responsibilities with financial struggles. After 2 marriages ended, she continued raising her children while working multiple jobs to support them. Eventually, she trained as a cosmetologist and built a career in the beauty industry. Friends described her as hardworking, determined, and deeply devoted to her children. Every paycheck came from long hours spent standing behind a salon chair, determined to give her family a better future. Meanwhile, Charlie Wheeler came from a completely different world. Raised in a wealthy Texas family, he entered the rodeo business before later building successful companies connected to the oil industry. Despite his financial success, public records show several encounters with law enforcement over the years, including arrests involving alcohol-related incidents. Many of those cases were later dismissed or resolved without major legal consequences. In 2016, Charlie discovered Nichol through social media. What began with a simple direct message quickly turned into a relationship. Within a year, Charlie purchased a luxurious home inside Anaqua Springs. Soon afterward, Nichol and her daughters moved into the mansion. From the outside, it appeared that after years of struggle, she had finally found stability. But appearances can sometimes hide a very different reality. At first, life inside the Anaqua Springs mansion seemed picture-perfect. Charlie Wheeler offered Nichol the opportunity to leave her job and rely entirely on his financial support. But despite the comfort and luxury surrounding her, Nichol refused. Friends later said that decision reflected her personality. After years of supporting herself and her children, she never wanted to depend completely on anyone else. As time passed, however, those closest to the couple began noticing troubling signs. During a professional photo shoot, one of Nichol's friends saw a bruise beneath her eye. When asked about it, Nichol briefly mentioned an argument with Charlie before quickly changing the subject. Months later, the couple traveled together to Galveston for their anniversary. According to people familiar with the incident, an argument escalated so seriously that hotel security asked Charlie to leave the property. Before leaving, he allegedly took Nichol's luggage and cell phone, leaving her stranded in an unfamiliar city without a way to contact anyone. Eventually, she reached a close friend named Monica. For nearly 17 hours, Nichol talked, cried, and described feeling emotionally exhausted. She reportedly told Monica that she wanted to end the relationship. But when the trip ended, she returned to the mansion. As months went by, friends noticed Charlie becoming increasingly controlling. During one outing to a basketball game, Charlie repeatedly called Nichol's phone. Eventually, he asked to speak directly with her friend Vanessa. According to Vanessa, Charlie made a disturbing remark. "You're lucky I even let her come with you." Later that evening, after the women visited a jazz club, Charlie called again, insisting Nichol return home immediately. Friends later believed he somehow knew exactly where they were. Another incident occurred during a summer visit to the mansion. Vanessa and Nichol were relaxing in the backyard when Charlie suddenly appeared, visibly angry. The reason seemed surprisingly minor. Someone had dropped a piece of pepperoni on the kitchen floor. Charlie demanded that Nichol leave the hot tub immediately and clean up after the children. Vanessa later recalled feeling uncomfortable as the criticism appeared intentionally public and humiliating. On another occasion, when the home's audio system stopped working, Charlie blamed Nichol's daughters. The atmosphere became so tense that Vanessa decided to leave only a couple of hours after arriving. Before walking out, she looked at Nichol and quietly said, "You look like a guest in your own house." Nichol reportedly nodded and replied, "This is Charlie's house, not mine." As the months passed, friends noticed Nichol becoming increasingly isolated. She spent most of her time either at work or inside the gated community. Court records also show that during 2018, law enforcement officers responded to the residence multiple times. While the records do not publicly explain what happened during each visit, they indicate that police were called to the home on several occasions. By late 2018, Nichol had quietly begun planning a new future. Rather than making an emotional decision, she carefully searched for apartments, compared rental options, and prepared to move with her daughters. Unknown to almost everyone around her, she appeared to be creating a path toward independence. That decision would become one of the most important details investigators examined after the tragedy. January 9, 2019. For Nichol Olsen, the day appeared to begin like any other. That morning, she received an email from the apartment complex she had been waiting to hear from. The rental unit she wanted was finally available, and she could begin the leasing process. For someone planning a fresh start, it was an important milestone. Throughout the day, Nichol continued making plans for the future. She confirmed appointments with salon clients, spoke with coworkers about upcoming work schedules, and prepared for the following day's responsibilities. Nothing about her actions suggested that she intended to stop living her life. Later that evening, London's father, Hector, called to discuss their daughter's future. London had been excited about attending a casting event for a popular television talent show. After talking it over, Nichol and Hector decided it might be better to wait for another opportunity. Before ending the call, London happily spoke with her father herself. Friends would later remember that conversation because nothing seemed unusual. Nichol also exchanged messages with friends throughout the evening. Those conversations appeared ordinary, with no obvious signs of panic or emotional crisis. According to Charlie Wheeler's later statement, he and Nichol argued that night. He said the disagreement became serious enough that he decided to leave the house and spend the night elsewhere. Security cameras at the gated community later recorded Charlie's vehicle leaving the neighborhood. As the night continued, investigators later reconstructed much of the timeline using cell phone records and digital evidence. After leaving, Charlie sent numerous text messages to Nichol, her daughters, and members of her family. In those messages, he expressed concern about Nichol's emotional state following their argument. At one point, a text message was sent from Alexa's phone asking, "Are you here?" I think she's talking to herself. Investigators confirmed that the message was sent, but public records have not established who physically typed it. Later that night, 5 outgoing calls were placed from Nichol's phone. One was directed to Charlie's mother. The remaining calls were attempts to reach emergency services. Only one 911 call successfully connected. According to available reports, the dispatcher heard only silence before the call disconnected. The location could not be fully confirmed before the connection ended. By the next morning, Charlie contacted Nichol's brother again, asking whether anyone had heard from her and whether police should be called. Shortly after 9 a.m., Charlie returned to the Inaqua Springs home. Moments later, he called 911. When officers entered the residence, they found the bodies of Nichol, Alexa, and London upstairs. What had happened inside the mansion during those final hours became the central question of the investigation. While digital evidence established parts of the night's timeline, investigators still had to compare those records with the physical evidence collected at the scene. As the investigation continued, differing interpretations of that evidence would lead to years of unanswered questions and public debate.